Hello, welcome to the first episode, if you will, of the Polish 1st Armoured Division Build, bolt-action army. Now, as I mentioned in my update video, I was going to start this kind of cataloging my progress on this build. Hopefully it's going to help me keep motivated to get these things done. But I also kind of wanted to show you just the project in progress. Probably a once a week thing, but again, it depends on how much modeling time I have during the week. This week happened to be a fantastic week. I actually got 6 whole hours in. That's extremely unusual. It took 3 days to do that, but so anyway, I started. The first thing I needed to do before I dove into all the individual infantrymen themselves, as I needed to go through and figure out how to build my first lieutenant. The reason I needed to figure that out is my first lieutenant is, let's see if how close we can get this. There we go. He is just a kind of a walking pose with the Webley revolver on the side. But the odd thing was that I needed a hand that would look as if he's reaching up for his beret, and then another hand that will actually be used to look like he's actually holding his Brody helmet. Okay, I don't know if it'll actually stay on there right now. No, it won't, but it will be hanging from his hand. So he's actually in the middle of switching between the beret and the helmet, because unlike several different British units, the actual Polish 1st Armoured Division didn't wear their officers didn't wear the berets during combat. They were in their helmets just like their men. So the only mistake I made here is that I tried to tack the head on with the solvent, but unfortunately I put too much on. I didn't realize it, and it's glued on there. So I'm gonna have to paint his head while it's on the torso. Now the rest of them, once I grabbed the 2 arms that I needed for that model, I was free to build the rest of them. And so I got all the bodies off and took off the little bit of mold lines that I saw on them. Didn't take long. There weren't a lot. I did notice, though, I missed a couple spots on a couple of them, but the torsos themselves, the legs, they don't have a lot of flash. When I started trying to figure out which arms I'd be using, they gave a good guide in the instructions, but I had to try to position them, and then you actually went ahead and cut off all the weapons, the 6 stun guns I'd need, the 3 Brens I'd need, and the Piat, as well as 1 Lee Enfield. Because what I did there is I used the gun to make sure the arms were positioned, and this is one of the reasons I use the solvent type cement for plastics, because it doesn't set so quickly like Superglue does, or CA. So I've got some time to finesse it into place before it sets permanently. Alright, so after getting all those arms on, I did do a little bit of cleanup on flash lines there, but I realized that the arms had their own challenge as far as some of the flash lines. So I basically told myself to hold off, let's assemble them, and I'll go back over the arms and take off the mold lines there. So I still have that to do, but I was able to get basically 2 platoons done, 2 understrength platoons. These are the 10th Dragoon, and these are the 8th Rifles. Now, the other thing I did is I selected the heads I would need, and for each of them, I went ahead and see if that'll focus at all. I mounted them all on toothpicks to make painting easier, and then glued the helmets on in place. That was the next step of preparation. So those were cleaned up as far as sprues and flash and little edges that I'd take off. So that was done. The difference between the 10th Dragoons and the 8th Rifles is the 8th Rifles will have the Hessian strips on their helmets, as opposed to the 10th Dragoons, which will be bare or netted. See if that... Okay. Alright, so now what I've just finished doing is, well, actually before, I also went ahead and decided to grab the backpacks off the sprues as well. And so within the 8th rifles, I'm going to use this backpack for the rifleman that'll have the 2-inch mortar. That's the light mortar in the platoon. But all those are ready. I'm going to actually stick those to double-sided tape when it comes time to paint those. So I can paint them separately. It won't be difficult to paint all the crevices once it's on the model. Now, the thing I just finished doing was adding on all of these on the back here the pack for the entrenching tool and canteen. So all of the models except for the officers right now have that bit on them. I'm going to take off the water bottle of the 2 remaining that I've got, and we actually put those, just the canteen, on the officers. I'm not going to give them an entrenching tool. At least that's my plan right now. We'll see how that goes. I don't think I've seen any officers with the entrenching tool in the pictures I happen to come across for my units, but there's no telling. Now, the one thing I was trying to do is I wanted to try to find the Lee Enfield pouches, ammo pouches. Unfortunately, the only ammo pouches that come with the kit are these long pouches, which basically those held 3 Bren clips, 20 round Bren clips. Now each soldier carried 2 of those anyway, but the kit came with 4 extra per weapon sprue, but only a total of 6 Lee Enfield ammo bandoliers. So I still have to figure out how I'm going to do the bandoliers and get the Lee Enfield clip pouches in. But that's where we're at so far. Just a little quick update. Nothing major here. I think with some of the models, you can see on the, I think you can see on this, there's a little bit of I would call it a gap between the arm and the shoulder and the jacket, the sleeve. I think that could be filled in with some milliput. Just something to make it so it actually doesn't look like a, I don't know, it looks like a puff that's been added to the shoulder. I don't really like that. So I'm going to try to mess around with it a little bit. So, but I do have the 2 first lieutenants ready. I do have the head picked out for the 8th rifles. And we're just, it's just a matter of finding the time to do the next step, which will be basically putting up the gaps that I don't feel comfortable with, going ahead and fixing any of the respirator and bayonet packs, which all of them need. That actually hangs on their left side, left hip. And then once that's done, it's a matter of priming everything and getting ready. I have all the paints I need now. These will all get a primer coat, and then I'll start actually doing the painting details. Okay. All right, so that's the first part of my Polish 1st Armored Division build. Hope it's of interest. I don't know if I know a lot of you guys are 40K, and this is a bolt action, but this is tabletop gaming, so I'm all for it. Stay tuned. What I'm going to do is I will do a separate product review, because I do have some thoughts and opinions on the kit, and I want to get those, in a separate video, so I can really concentrate on that. All right, so thanks for watching. Share, like, subscribe, please, and see you in the next video. Bye-bye.